Welcome to Learn with Mr. Lewis. I wanted to talk to you about something today that I think you'll find really useful. So, in my last TPT income report, I got a really great question about my email list and how I set it up and how all that works. And I thought, you know what? I could really easily just make a quick video and show you. Oh, wait, no, I couldn't really do that because I actually didn't make my own email list. It was Mrs. Lewis. But see, she was nice and she agreed that she would make a video for you and tell you all about it. I tried to persuade her to actually be on camera for this because she really is the eye candy in the family. But she decided that she would still kind of do it from behind the camera. So you'll have to wait for a future episode where you might get a glimpse of Mrs. Lewis. But coming up, Mrs. Lewis will tell you how to make an amazing Google Forms email list. Let's do this.
Thanks, Mr. Lewis. This is really the stuff I get excited about, just ways to make it easier for everyone. So what we're looking at here is Mr. Lewis's actual email list, and it's a Google form. And what it allows anyone to do, the user to do, is put in their email address and pick their own product that they want. So as you can see here, what we're going to do today is put in your email address, and then down here it says which product would you like as your free gift? Well, maybe they don't know Mr. Lewis's products really well. There's a link here they could click and it takes them to Mr. Lewis's store to look at all the products. And let's decide I want Today in History, because who doesn't want Today in History? It's the best. I'm going to click on Today in History and say next. And it takes me to a section where I can decide which month of Today in History I want. And it even has images for the user to choose. So that makes it really easy. But maybe I decide, ooh, I actually want a video guide instead. I can go ahead and click back and go over to video guide and say next. Now it takes me to another section where I can do something similar. I really want to see all the video guides. Mr. Lewis has over 100 video guides, so we didn't list them here. But I can click here on this link and it takes me to the custom category of video guides, and then I can come back and type in the answer of the video guide that I want and click submit. So that's what we're going to teach you how to do today, is create your own email list with product selection. So I'm here just on google.com. I'm signed in, and I'm going to come up here to Google Apps, and I'm going to come down here and find this one that says Forms. I'm just going to click on that, and that's going to open up. Now you have a couple different options here. You could start with a blank form. I actually like this contact information template, so that's what we're going to start with. I'm going to click on that, and it will open it up here. And as you can see, it's got some different options for you. If you don't like these colors, that's something that you could change. You could come up here to customize theme, and you could change your colors. But we're just going to get started here. So the first is, it says contact information. Well, we want this to be Mr. Lewis's email list. So I'm going to type in here, Mr. Lewis's email list. And I want to give everybody a little description of what they're doing. So join my email list and be the first to know about upcoming products and promotions. All right, so now I have that ready. So we're going to start with our first section here. And the one thing that we want to make sure that we get from our new subscriber really is, we really just want their email address. We don't really need their name. So you can see here, that's their name. But we do have another option here too. If we come over here to settings, we can make it, we have a couple different options here on our responses, and one of them is collect email addresses, and I do like that one. So I'm going to say collect email addresses with the responder input, and then send responders a copy of their response. They can choose to get it. I'm going to go ahead and say, when requested. So I'm not making this a quiz. I do want to get people's email addresses. Now I'll allow responses to be edited, but I'll limit it to one response. As far as manage how the form, if you wanted to put a progress bar in, again, if you wanted to change the confirmation message, it's just a thanks for submitting your contact info. Now, one of the things here is I've decided I only want to limit it to one response. So I don't want somebody to come in here and fill this form out multiple times. So that is set there. And then these are, again, just some options. Those are the ones that I really have here, but you can see collect email addresses. And the first thing it's going to do is make all questions required by default. You can change that as well if you don't like it. So let's go back to our questions. So now you can see here that before the name came that email. And so I don't need the name like we talked about. I mean, unless you really want the name so you can address them, I'm going to go ahead and delete the name. And I don't need the email here because I already put that in that setting. So I'm going to delete that there. I don't need their address or their phone number, and I don't need any comments here. So we're going to delete those. Now I'm going to add a question here about what kind of free gift they want. So I'm going to go ahead and open up and put that plus sign, and it gives me a question. So I'm going to say, which product would you like as your free gift? Question mark. And I'll make it a multiple choice. So do they want today in history, or do they want maybe a video guide? Now I can do a couple of things here too. I can put in a description, and in this description I could say here, hey, go to my store, click here to find details about the products listed below. And so I can come over here to my store, and here's my store. And right now I'm anywhere. So anywhere, this is just my store. And so I'm going to go ahead and just copy this. And then I'm going to come back here and I'm going to highlight where it says here. And I'm going to say, let's insert a link. And when it says here, I'm going to insert that link of my store and say, okay. And now you can see that is linked up there. So I want to say, yep, if you want to pick Today in History or Video Guide, and you can look at different products here. Now, I want to show them kind of what they can choose. And so that's where we get some really, really fun things happening here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a section. And this section is going to be called, let's call it Today in History Selection, because I want them to, if they choose Today in History, I want them to be able to go and choose Today in History. So now I've added my Today in History selection, and I can even now have a question that says, in this section, which Today in History would you like? I have multiple months. So option number 1, let's say, would be April. And I can even come over here and add an image for April. I can, it's in my photos here. And here's my April one. So I will put that in there and say insert. So now you'll see it come up. I'll have April and a little picture there of April. Now let's see, we'll also give them the option for March. And again, I'll click on this add image and come over here to my photos, and we'll put in March and say insert. Okay, and there we go. Now, I want to do a couple of things. So If they answer up here, now that I've created that section, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to say in Today in History. So I want it to go to a section based on their answer. So if they select Today in History, I want to drop this down here and say, go to the Today in History selection. Okay. And we come back down to my Today in History section. I can do the same thing here. They don't need to go anywhere else. I'm going to say if they choose April or March, let's just say they can just go ahead and submit the form. They don't need to go look at anything else. So I'm going to come back down here and let's add a section for video guides. So I'm going to add a section here. And this will be my video, guide selection. And as I'm doing this, if you want to see what in the description, you'll be able to have the link to Mr. Lewis's email list, and you'll be able to see kind of the finished product there. I'm just making you a quick one here. So which video guide would you like? Question mark. And I'm going to add a little description here because I want to make sure they get some information. So I'm going to say click here to view available video guides. And I'm going to say single. I have some bundles here. So I'm going to say single product only, no bundles. So let's go back over to my store, and I do have a custom category just for video guides. So I'm going to go ahead and right click and copy that link address. And then I'm going to come back here, highlight here, insert my link. You can see it's from my video guides here and say, okay. Now, I don't want multiple choice here. I would need a short answer actually for them to be able to write in what video guide they want. So that's there. Now, same thing here. If they, after they do their selection here, I want, I'm kind of stuck here. But same thing here. After they select their response here, again, depending on what you end up doing, you would want to go ahead and say after section 3, go ahead and submit your form, which that's the last section, so it should be good. But you can see here after section 2, it says continue to next section. We want them to submit the form after section 2. Okay. And then after section 1, it says continue to next section. Again, that's okay because we put it in here. Now, let's go to our video guide. And we're going to say, so if they click on Today in History, go to section 2. If they select video guide, go to section 3. All right. So we've done all of our pieces. We've made it so they'll put in their email address. We gave them a link to our store to look at the products, put in where they're going to go, put in a couple of options for the Today in History, and we gave them the section here. Oh, that came off here. That's too bad. Let's type it in again. Oops. Click here to view available video guides. And remember we said single product only, no bundles. And we came over here, right click, copy link address, and I'm gonna go, there we are, insert link. Whoops, it is not liking me today. Insert link and say okay. All right. So now the nice thing is we can go spy it. We can go preview it right here, and this is how it's going to look to your users. So Mr. Lewis's email list, join my email list, put in email, and then we can test what we did. We can click here. So let's click on that, and it should take us to the store. And here it comes. Wonderful. And if I click on Today in History, it should take me just to the Today in History section. Click Next. Oh, I need to put in my email address here. So Today in History and Next. It should take me just that Today in History section to choose. And that is all I see. So we'll choose April. Right, we would all want April, and click Next. And it should take me to submit, and it does. But I could go back. And I could go back again. And I could say I want a video guide. And next. And I could click here to view the available video guides. There we are. These are just my video guides. So we're giving them, I can type it in and then submit. So if I were to come in here and say food that, oops, let's type food that built America and submit. That's how it's going to look. There we go. Now let's go back. One of the nice things is I should now see that I have one response, and I can look at the information on the response here. But what it will do is it will also create a new spreadsheet for you if you would like. And that is the best thing, because then as more responses come in, they'll all go into this new spreadsheet. So you do want to create that spreadsheet. And that is how you'll stay very organized. It will give you all the information so you can see. It will give you then when they filled it out, their email address, what product they wanted. And so again, you can stay in this, just every time you get a new response, they're going to show up right here on this Google Sheet. One of the other great things you can do with this Google Sheet is when it comes time to send that email, whether you send it weekly, monthly, you can just come in here. You'll have all these email addresses now, and you can just select them all, copy, and then paste them into your blind carbon copy or your BCC in your email when you compose it. And it's that easy. So that's really great. Now, also, if I click on these three dots here, I like this, get email notifications for new responses. I always click that and yes. So when I get a new response, I will get an email with my new response. So now you're going to want to share this. You can share it a bunch of different ways, but if I go over to click over to send and I come over here, say send via link, now it gives me this link that I can put in my description. I like to always shorten that URL. I don't want this long URL there. And I'm going to go ahead and say copy. And now I can use that in any of my descriptions, anywhere. I can send it to anyone who's interested, and now they'll be able to do their own and sign up for my email list. So I hope that helped, and to allow you to go in and create your own email list and allow your followers to also select their free product. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Lewis, for that amazing tutorial. I learned so much that I will never use because you handle all of that for me. So thanks again, Mrs. Lewis. But hopefully it was useful to you. And hey, if you like what you've seen here today, please be sure to like and subscribe. Oh, and maybe in the future, especially if we get a lot of comments about it, we could get Mrs. Lewis in front of the camera. load up the comments. She can't resist if that happens. Also, thanks for watching.